Hello everyone, I am Praveen Singh and welcoming you all in this session of the 100 most important topics, not questions, topics uh, for what? For UPSC Civil Services Prelims Examination 2026. So dear, in this particular session or in this series of video, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss only those parts of the topic which are immensely, or you can say very important for your prelims examination. So remember, I am not going to discuss the topics in detail. Rather, or on the contrary, what I am going to do, I am going to discuss only the relevant part that are really very important for your prelims examination 2026. Clear? So under this, going to start with important topics of Indian art and culture. I think that you all might be aware that two topics of your prelims examination has been considered as very tough according to the students, and those two topics are, the first one is the Indian art and culture and the second one is the environment. So here I am going to discuss the important topics. Firstly, of what? Of the Indian art and culture. So starting with Indus Valley Civilization. Under this, I am going to discuss what? The town planning. Town planning, number one. Number two is the artifacts. And number three, that is also the part of artifact and terracotta art. Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization emerged, flourished in and around mid of the 3rd millennium BC towards the northwest part of the Indian subcontinent. You all might be aware that this civilization is famous for its remarkable, excellent system of town planning and cleanliness, sanitation, and the drainage system. So let us understand the important features of the Harappan town planning. See, firstly, most of the urban areas of the Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization located where? Located near to the river. For an example, Harappa located where? On to the left bank of the river Ravi. Mohenjo-daro located on to the right bank of river Indus. Same way you can say that the Lothal located where? Near to which river? Near to the Bhogwa river. Same way you can say that this Dholavira located between Manhar and Mansar river. Clear? Though this is the first part of the Harappan town planning. Then second is about the division of the city. So city or urban area normally divided into two parts. The first is called citadel and the second one was called lower town. Citadel and lower town. Normally dear, the citadel was built over a raised platform. It was built over a raised platform and normally it was surrounded by a protective wall. All the important public buildings buildings for the ruling class and the rich people located on which part? On the citadel part. Getting my point? And this one is the lower town. So the commoners, they habited which part? So they lived to the lower town area. Remember, dear, there are cities in the Harappan towns like the Lothal, like the Banavali and the Kalibanga. Not only the citadel, but also the lower part is also surrounded by the protective wall. So this was the second element or the concept that I discussed here. Now the third is about the layout of or about the roads. Normally, the main roads in the Harappan towns constructed or laid down in the north, south, east, west direction and cut across around 90-degree angle, and this made many Harappan towns as or on the principle of grid system. But remember, dear, that the Harappan towns were not perfectly, I am saying not perfectly grid system. Even the Mohenjo-daro, there are areas that was not following properly the grid pattern. But on an average, you can say, yes, they followed grid pattern, but it wasn't perfectly a grid pattern. Clear? Next is about the buildings, my dear. So in Harappan towns, we have three types of building. Number one is called public building. Then we have ritual building, and then we also have the residential building. Example of public building is what? Granary. We have the largest building made of burnt bricks located in the Mohenjo-daro, and that building is called Great Granary of Mohenjo-daro. So Great Granary of Mohenjo-daro represents what? The largest building made of burnt bricks in the Harappan civilization. And the granary was an important feature of the various Harappan towns. Presence of granary signifies two elements. The first, there was food surplus. There was food surplus in the Harappan economy. And the second, you know, that in most of the case, the granary located where? Onto the citadel area. This indicates that most probably tax was collected in the form of grains. So that was all about public buildings. Ritual building, example of ritual building, I think that you all might be aware, a Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. We have stairs towards the north and the south, and the floor of this great bath was made of burnt bricks, number one, and number two, onto this floor a mixture of gypsum and bituminous was applied in order to stop, to check, to control the percolation or the leakage of the water. Clear? Then coming on to the residential building. Dear. Suppose this is what? This is the main road, then we have the sub road. So normally the rooms of the residential buildings, these are the rooms. Normally the rooms of the residential buildings built around a central courtyard, and the entry gate of the residential building always opened onto the side lane, not onto the main road. Always open onto the side lane, not onto the main road. Then in each and every house there were provisions for bathrooms, and in many houses there were separate areas for the toilets and for the bathrooms. Separate areas. Getting my point? So that is all about the residential buildings. Then in each and every house there was provision of what? Drains. Provision of drains, and the drains was made of burnt bricks, and the drains was always covered. It was always covered, and in between the drains, there were provision for what? For soak pits. Provision for soak pits. So that was all about what? All about the Harappan town planning. Moving towards the next important part of the Harappan civilization is the artifact. Artifact, my dear. Artifact. So under normally artifacts, normally what we study under the artifacts, so we study about seals, we study about pottery, we study about sculptures, we study about ornaments, we study about various tools. But here I am going to discuss about a little bit about seals and then about the sculptures. See, seals represent the best artistic creations of the Harappan people. Best artistic creation of the Harappan people is what? The seals. Most of the seals are square. In what shape? Most of the seals are square in shape, and most of the seals were made of a kind of soft stone called statite. On to the seals, we have the evidence of the Harappan script. Harappan script, pictographic in nature. So from where we have the evidence of the Harappan script? So in most of the case, the evidence of Harappan scripts found where? On to the Harappan seals. Clear? So this is the first point. Then about the sculptures. See, Harappans made sculptures of metal, they made sculptures of stone and also of terracotta as well. In metal, they made sculpture figurines of copper and the bronze, and the most famous metal sculpture of the Harappan civilization is the bronze dancing girl, discovered from which city? Answer is Mohenjo-daro. Bronze dancing girl. This girl has been standing in a Tribhang posture. The body has been moved into three different directions. This is called Tribhang posture. Tribhang posture. The hair of the girl is braided. One of her hand lies on her hip. The second hand is full of bangles. She is wearing a necklace. And the metal sculptures, the Harappan sculptors, they made metal sculptures by following lost wax technique. Getting my point? By following lost wax technique. So that was all about the metal. Now coming on to the stone sculpture. See this is a classic example of the stone sculpture. This sculpture is called the statue of a bearded man, sometimes also referred as the statue of or sculpture of a priestly king or priest king. See the trimmed hair, the floral shawl that this man is wearing, And this statue is made of which stone? Statite, and discovered from which city? Once again, Mohenjo-daro. So, statue of a beard man or priest king. Remember, this is very, very important. Now, the third about the terracotta. Terracotta. Remember, dear, terracotta means what? Terracotta figurines means fire baked clay images. Getting my point? These terracotta art are not example of sophisticated Harappan art. But as far as Harappan culture is concerned, these terracotta figurines throws important light on to the Harappan culture. Now, we have varieties of terracotta sculptures found from the various Harappan sites. Like most of the terracotta sculptures found from the various Harappan sites belongs to animals. Getting my point? Maximum number of the terracotta figurines found from the various Harappan sites belongs to the animals. And in the human beings, mother goddess. Human beings, mother goddess. Clear? So that was all about the important aspect of what? Of the Indus Valley Civilization. Now from here, moving towards Mauryan art and architecture. So our next topic, dear. Next, see, I have already discussed what? We have a very limited times, and that is why I am not discussing any topics in detail, only focusing important elements of that particular topic which are really important for, or very important for your exam. So remember this, I am not discussing any topic in a very detailed manner. I am only discussing those elements which are very important. Mauryan art and architecture. Mauryan art and architecture. So here what we have to study under like palace, like rock cut architecture, then we have stupa, then we also have pillars, and then the sculptures. Clear? Now, normally historians, they have divided or classified Mauryan art and architecture into two parts. First is called court art, and the second one is called folk art. Folk art means the art which was popular among the commoners, known as folk art. Court art, the art which was patronized by the state, by the ruler, known as court art. So normally all these are examples of the palace, the rock cut architecture, the stupa, the pillars and the sculptures, example of the court art. And under folk art, what we have to study? We have to study about sculptures. Clear? So now let us understand the important elements associated with this Mauryan art and architecture. Coming on to the palace. So the palace of Patliputra was built by whom? Chandragupta Maurya. Built by Chandragupta Maurya. And what was the construction material? Construction material was timber. Now came Ashoka. Ashoka did what? In many parts of this palace, he used sandstone. Getting my point? Sandstone. And the evidence of this palace, only the part of this palace like the pillars, have been discovered from which part? From the parts of Patna, today's Patna. Clear na? Now, you all, I think that you all might be aware, you already have studied about the Greek ambassador Megasthenes, who reached in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. He saw this beautiful palace of Patliputra, and he discussed or told what? He told in his book, or he wrote in his book Indica, that the palace of Patliputra is far better, far superior than the palace of Susa and Ekbatana. Where is Susa and Ekbatana? Western part of Asia. So he compared the palace of Patliputra with the palace of Susa and Ekbatana, and he declared that the palace of Patliputra is far better than, superior than the palace of Susa and Ekbatana. So that was all about what? All about the palace of the Patliputra. Now coming on to the rock cut architecture. So see here, I am just giving you example because I will discuss rock cut architecture of ancient India and early medieval India in a separate topic. So here just I am a rock cut architecture, just mentioning few facts. Ashoka, near Bodh Gaya, we have Barabar Hills. Barabar Hills near Bodh Gaya. Where is Bodh Gaya? South Bihar. So here he constructed 4 rock cut caves. 4 rock cut caves, Vishwa Jhopadi, Karn Chaupad, Sudama and Lomas Rishi, and donated those 4 rock cut caves to whom? To Ajivika monks. And remember dear, the rock cut caves of the Barabar Hills represents India's earliest man-made caves. And this question has already been asked by UPSC. The earliest man-made caves in India is what? Barabar, the rock cut caves built by Ashoka, where in or at Barabar, South Bihar. And the 4 rock cut caves he donated to whom? Donated to Ajivika monks. Then came his grandson Dasrath. So Dasrath did what? Dasrath. So near Barabar Hills we have one more hill that is called Nagarjuni Hills. Nagarjuni Hills. Clear? Near Barabar Hills, South Bihar. So Dasrath, the grandson of Ashoka, he constructed 3 rock cut caves, and like his grandfather, he donated the 3 rock cut caves to whom? Ajivika monks. So that was all about whom? That was all about the rock cut caves. Moving towards Stupa, once again I will discuss the Buddhist architecture including the Stupa as a separate topic. So here I am discussing only a little bit. Before Ashoka, or you can say that just after the death of Gautam Buddha, his ashes, his body remnants were divided, body remains were divided into 8 parts. And on his relics, 8 stupas were built. Ashoka, according to the Buddhist text, did what? He dug out all those previous 8 stupas and constructed how many stupas? Constructed 84,000 stupas. Who constructed according to the Buddhist text? Answer is Ashoka, the Mauryan emperor. The prominent stupas built by Ashoka are Sanchi Stupa. Where is Sanchi? Madhya Pradesh. Bharhut, Madhya Pradesh. Then Kesariya. Where is Kesariya? Kesariya Stupa. It is in North Bihar. Then we have Dharmarajika. Where is Dharmarajika? So we have 2 Dharmarajika Stupa. One is at Sarnath, Uttar Pradesh, and second is Takshila, Pakistan. Later, this Dharmarajika Stupa of Takshila was repaired by the Kanishka in the 1st century AD. Then, apart from that, Ashoka also repaired and enlarged a stupa of Konaga Muni And where is the stupa of Konaga Muni, my dear? Stupa of Konaga Muni. It is in Nigliwa, Nepal. So here Ashoka did what? Ashoka repaired and enlarged the stupa of Konaga Muni. And who was Konaga Muni? Previous Buddha, a mythical Buddha. Before Gautam Buddha, according to the Buddhist traditions, there were 6 more Buddhas known as Manusi Buddha. If you are closely following the previous year question paper, then I am very much sure that you all knew that 3 or 4 topics of art and culture are of very important or utmost important. Buddhism and Jainism. Since 2013-14, per year, at least one question is coming from Buddhism or Jainism. And this year, once again, because of the Piprahwa Stupa or Piprahwa relic, the Buddhism topic is very important. So you may expect a question in your prelims examination from the topic Buddhism. Getting my point? Then the second important topic, Bhakti Sufi. Third, social and religious reform movement. And fourth, World Heritage Site. These are the very important topics that you must complete it. So yes, coming here, Konaga Muni, Manusi Buddha. According to the Buddhist tradition, before Gautam Buddha, before Siddhartha, there were 6 more Buddhas. So Konaga Muni was one of the Manusi Buddha. And Ashoka did what? Ashoka repaired and enlarged the stupa of Konaga Muni. And where is the stupa of Konaga Muni? Nepal, Nigliwa. So that was all about what? About little bit about the stupa. Coming on to the pillars. 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 Ashoka, to inform his subjects about his state policies, did what? He erected pillars in various parts of his empire and inscribed information. Inscribed what? Information. Pillars were like this. This is the prop area. This is the shaft area, the shaft, and this is the capital. And the capital was divided into 3 parts. This is called inverted lotus or bell-shaped structure. This is called abacus. And this was the statue of animal. And here we have the information inscribed. Pillars. Now, the Ashokan pillars were what? Monolithic. Monolithic. That is made of single sandstone. And in most of the case, Ashoka quarried sandstone from where? From Chunar mines near Varanasi. Quarried, took out the sandstone from Chunar mines. Where is Chunar? Uttar Pradesh, near Varanasi. Then these pillars are highly polished. We have few similarities with the Persian pillar as well. But remember, it wasn't a complete copy, complete replica, complete imitation of the Persian pillar. In the Persian pillar, at the top of the pillar, you may find the statue of humans. But here, in the Ashokan pillar, we are finding what? At the top of the Ashokan pillars, we have the statue of animals, not the statue of humans. Clear na? So these are what? The monolithic quarried from the Chunar mines and a polished, highly polished, and contains inscriptions. But remember, not all pillars contain inscriptions. Then the areas from where archaeologists, historians have discovered the Ashokan pillars are Lauria Areraj. Where is Lauria Areraj? North Bihar. Lauria Nandangarh. Where is Lauria Nandangarh? Once again, North Bihar. Then we have Delhi Topra. It was located in Topra, brought to Delhi by medieval Indian ruler Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then we have Delhi Meerut. Actually, it was in the Meerut, brought to Delhi once again by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then we have Kausambi Prayag as well. These are the areas where archaeologists, historians have discovered what? The pillars. Lauria Ariraj, North Bihar. Lauria Nandangarh, North Bihar. Delhi Topra, Delhi Meerut, and Kausambi Prayag. Apart from that, we have the pillars discovered at Sanchi, Sarnath, Nigliwa, Nepal, and Lumbini or Rumandei, Nepal. So these are the areas from where historians, archaeologists, scholars have discovered the Ashokan pillars. So that was all about the Ashokan pillars. Coming on to the sculptures. Sculptures. See, the court sculptures were of two types. One is called, that is part of pillar, and second, independently erected or not part of pillars. Not part of pillars. Part of pillars, at the top of the pillar we have the statue, we have the sculptures of animals like at Rampurva. Where is Rampurva? Bihar. So at the top of the Rampurva pillar we have the statue of a bull or a humped bull. Then at Sanchi and Sarnath, Sanchi and Sarnath, we have 4 lion sitting or standing back to back, 4 lion. Then at Koluha, where is Koluha? Koluha. Where is Koluha? It is in Bihar, North Bihar. And here at the top of the pillar we have the single lion. The Sarnath lion capital, you might be aware, it has been adopted as the national emblem of India on 26th of January 1950. National emblem of India, lion capital. See this lion capital. This is the inverted lotus. Then this one is the rounded abacus, and at the top we have the 4 lion. And at the abacus, my dear, we have the carved sculptures of bull, carved sculptures of elephant, then horse and elephant. So bull, we have the 4 animals where onto the abacus part. Bull is there, lion, then elephant and the horse. Remember, these are very, very important. Abacus, 4 animals: bull, lion, horse and the elephant. Clear? Then from here we are moving. The quote under this sculpture part, I have discussed what? The sculptures part of the pillar architecture. Now, sculptures that are not the part of the pillar, pillar architecture. So we have the statue of elephant found where? At Kalsi. Where is Kalsi? Uttarakhand near Dehradun. And Dhauli. And remember dear, Dhauli, Odisha. Remember this question has already been asked by UPSC. Kalsi, Uttarakhand. And here we have the statue of elephant. And these are not the part of the pillars. Now, under the folk art, we have to remember two sculptures, at least two sculptures. One is called the sculpture of Yaksh or Manibhadra Yaksh. Manibhadra Yaksh. Manibhadra Yaksh. Found from where? Found at Parkham. And where is Parkham? It is near Mathura. Very, very important. Made of red sandstone. And the sandstone was quarried from where? Near Mathura we have Bharatpur. So Bharatpur mines. White sandstone quarried from Chunar, and the red sandstone or the spotted red sandstone quarried from Bharatpur mines or Dholpur mines, Rajasthan. So Manibhadra Yaksh statue, sculpture of Manibhadra Yaksh found from where? Parkham, Mathura. Then the statue of Chauri, sculpture of Chauri bearer or Yakshi. Yakshi, discovered from where? Patna, Didarganj. Didarganj. Clear? So that was all about the Mauryan art and architecture. Now one more point that I will discuss about the Mauryan phase is that, and that is Ashokan Edicts. Ashokan Edicts of Ashoka. Already discussed that Ashoka, in order to inform his subjects about his state policies, he inscribed inscriptions, and his inscriptions has been categorized into three sub parts or headings. One is called rock edicts. Rock edicts. Second, pillar edicts. And the third, cave edicts. Cave edicts. Rock edicts divided into two parts: major rock edicts, minor rock edicts. Same way you can say about major pillar edicts, major minor edicts. Clear? What is the difference between this major and minor? Major and minor. More information, major pillar edict. More information, here major rock edicts. Limited information on rock, known as called minor edicts. Limited information on pillar, called minor pillar edicts. Clear? Now the major pillar edicts of Ashoka found from how many places? Answer is 6 places. And how many informations have been inscribed? Answer is 7. Clear? And as far as minor pillar edict is concerned, it has been found mainly from the 5 places. Mainly from the 5 places. What about the major rock edict. It has been found from the 8 places. And how many informations have been inscribed? Around 14 information have been inscribed. Information number 13 is very, very important. Information number 13 describe the Battle of Kalinga, describe the neighboring rulers or dynasty of the northwest region. Information number 11 elaborates Dhamma. And information number 12 describe what? Information number 12 describe the appointment of 3 new officers, Dham Mahamatra, Striya Adhyaksh Mahamatra and Braj Bhumik Mahamatra by Ashoka. So very, very important information. Number 13, number 12, number 11, very, very important. And you also have to memorize the 8 places. Sahbaj Garhi, Mansehra, both are in Pakistan. Then Kalsi, Dehradun, Girnar, Gujarat. Then we have Supara near Mumbai. Then we have Yerragudi in Andhra. Then we have Dhauli and Jaugarh, where in Odisha. So you have to memorize the 8 places as well. And here the 6 places as well. Already discussed about these points. Then the next thing that you must memorize under the edicts of Ashoka, who deciphered the script of Ashokan inscriptions? Answer is James Prinsep in the decade of 1830s. James Prinsep, an Orientalist, Indologist, you can say. Then what you have to memorize it, the language of these Ashokan inscriptions. So in North India, eastern part of India, central India, western part of India and in Deccan, Ashoka mainly used Prakrit. While in northwest part, Ashoka in many inscriptions he used Prakrit, and in few inscriptions he used Greek and Aramaic language as well. Greek and Aramaic language. Asking you a question, name the inscription in which, or name the edict in which Ashoka used 2 language and 2 script. So remember, in his inscriptions, Ashoka used 3 languages and main language was Prakrit. In northwest part, he used Prakrit, Greek and Aramaic. Now coming on to the script. Script, my dear. So here once again in North India, in western part, central India, eastern part of India and Deccan, Ashoka used Brahmi script. But in northwest part, Brahmi, Kharoshthi script and Greek and Aramaic. Clear? So that was all about the important facts, concepts related to the Mauryan art and architecture and the Ashokan edicts.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.